You're watching Drake Queen Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drake Queen Gaming. It's something on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Kingsguard, Koshiro's Path. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Alarm Shan, you were up and let's go. Alright. There are a few of those who wore those robes like you do. They seem to be in hiding, high on the rooftops or in the shadows. But the rest of them seem to wear long shirts. Though they actually look like dresses now that I think about it. Certainly were quite vibrant and colorful with different patterns and designs. Overall, the village was peaceful. It wasn't like anything I've ever heard in the books. I can almost remember it like I was walking through it just yesterday. Then the village was attacked. What? There was smoke everywhere. A village bell rung through the night. Fires engulfed the houses. Fights broke out in the moonlight. It was chaos. And you... You questioned whether you should have mentioned what happened between the two of you in the dream. I what? You swallowed hard. It took a lot of courage to admit to something like this, and this was the icing on the cake. You sacrificed yourself to save me. I was killed? By who? Koshiro. He killed me. But why? I don't know. Koshiro, he changed. Some dark aura changed him into, I don't know, something else. Like stronger, but unholy or evil. Possessed, maybe. What happened next? That's all. That's all? And then I woke up. He seemed to be staring right at you, probing your eyes for what you were hiding. But he wasn't a mind reader, and most he could do is read your face for a lie, but everything you said was the truth. I know it sounds crazy. I was just inches away from death, of course. Of course I would have some kooky dream before I fell into my grave. The place you dreamt of definitely sounds like my village. For you to bring up details like that despite having never been there yourself, and with Koshiro as well. It might be a sign. I can only hope that it's not an omen. I kind of wondered where you came from at times, so that was the kind of place you were born. As I said, my village is hidden. Other than your father, there isn't anyone born outside the village who knows of its existence. Your father has only ever been there once. This is before I was born, and even he was never disclosed of its location. So are you guys separated from the rest of the world? In a sense, yes. We are like our own country. We protect our kingdom from threats, and in turn you give us land to live. It doesn't sound like a very fair trade. In return, we are given access to many of your nation's resources for free. Weapons, tools, supplies, food. We are not much different than knights that live in the barracks, only we operate under different circumstances. So I take it there aren't any humans there. All I saw were just beastmen. I guess that's normal? I suppose it would seem strange to lay eyes on a small town filled with the same species of beastmen, but it's not at all that common in many places around the world, such as Farharan, for instance. But you've lived in Havana all your life, so I can see why it would come as a surprise. To be honest, when I first laid eyes on the world outside my village, I was certainly taken aback. To find not just humans, but other beastmen, it was a shock. Because of our reclusive ways, we have always lived in peace. Never once have we faced an internal struggle. We all work for the sake of the village. There is no other greater deed to us. You must really love your village, then. Sounds like a heavenly place to be. Wish I could say the same for Havana. I wouldn't say it's an Elysium, but it is peaceful. Anyway, I will have to be sure to send out a message. Our shaman will need to know about this. Your shaman? If it helps, you can also call them a priest. It can be interchangeable. She is a speaker of the gods, and can call on their wisdom and power to predict disasters and dangers. It is how we have managed to stay hidden, and how we have kept our village strong for over 100 years. So she has the same power similar to the Pool of Light. The Pool of Light? During the ablution, I had a similar occurrence, though it wasn't really a dream. I wouldn't be able to say. Well, even if it wasn't my dream, it was a beautiful place. I would love to see it sometime. There may come a time when you would be able to go, but that would be up for the Elder. You can't just take me there? No. I would need the permission of the Elder to allow your entrance. Maybe next time you send out a letter you can tell them. Which, by the way, how are you going to send it anyhow? Kind of strange how a carrier bird managed to find you all the way out here. How did it know where to find you? Is it special or something, or did you train it a certain way? Why are you being so silent? I'm sorry, I can't say anything. What was that about not keeping secrets from me? I'm sorry, but this is something I absolutely must keep quiet about. I won't tell anyone, you can trust me, can't you? I really am sorry. Is it really that top secret? Alright, I'll take a hint. Thank you. I don't know what it is, but that dream I had was just far too coincidental to everything that has happened the past few days. As dangerous as it sounds, I have a strange feeling that I need to head there. I'll do what I can. You spent most of the trip either recovering in your room or hobbling along the deck of the ship for fresh air. Declan came to check on you every so often, and even he was surprised at how fast you were recovering. Declan claimed it was all thanks to Koshiro and his knowledge that he was always quick to die credit. Whenever you were the one who thanked him, though, his tail seemed to perk up and wag. He really was starting to come out of his shell a bit slowly. But despite your quick recuperation, you still weren't allowed to do very many physical activities. Because your back didn't seem to bother you so much anymore, it seemed all right with you. The Andres prohibited you from training no matter how much you pleaded, and just to be sure, he hid your sword away. Though a stray mock left behind by a deckhand was a suitable replacement as any. Time stretched out in the open sea. A minute felt like an hour, and each hour stretched on into an eternity. Second, y'all, it is coffee time. Alright, guys and gals, and we are back. Let's jump back into it, shall we? Okay. The ship that once seemed like a shining beacon of new adventures and a new life became dull and jaded. You felt trapped just like back at the castle. Okay, that is where I was at. Alright. Boredom became your worst adversary when there was little to do and almost nothing to see. When you weren't sleeping, you were wasting away time playing cards, and even that became dreary. Your only connection to the outside world was with Koshiro and his strange bird that he sent out. With the latest message, you had learned that the capital was just now recovering from its attack. The assassins were gone for the most part. All had either fled or were captured, though they ended up killing themselves before they could be questioned. If the weather permitted, you would only have to spend 3 more days aboard the ship, but you were becoming antsy to see land. Supplies began to run low. With the attack on Havana, the ship's captain took in far too many passengers for escape, and things had to now be rationed out sparingly. For Ramos, that meant no more splurging on ale and food. The Andres and Koshiro opted to forgo a few meals in order to keep you fed, but you assured them of their duty towards you. The last thing you needed was malnourished bodyguards wasting away with little energy left to protect you. Not that you needed the food anyway. You rarely felt hungry since you hardly moved around the ship. You began to notice that you were losing a bit of weight as well. The only pleasant thing about the voyage was the sailing weather with the warm sun, blue skies, and gentle waves. But even that seemed to come to an end. A cloudburst furiously beat down upon the ship, and high winds stirred the waves into a frenzy. You woke to a blinding flash that pierced through your eyelids. The tremulous thunder shook your bed and rattled the wood. The ship was at the mercy of the sea as it rocked back and forth and groaned in agony. You were flung out of your bed and loose items rolled all over the floor. Carefully, you picked yourself up, thankful that you had healed enough to move with them with more ease. Who the hell's steering this thing? Could they at least try to be a little more gentle? You rubbed at your sides and tried to stay standing, but the shifting floor forced you to grab onto something for stability. My stomach. You decided to leave the room. The rocking was getting to be too much. As you stepped out into the hall, you found people simply lounging about with buckets held close. The sound of sloshing, dry heaving, and moaning started to make you even more seasick. You jumped over a particularly nasty-looking pile of regurgitated food and headed out onto the deck. The storm appeared to be far worse than what you had thought. The rain showed no signs of letting up, and fog covered the deck and shrouded your vision. You couldn't see anyone else but sailors busy dashing back and forth along the deck. They yelled over the howling winds, and a few slipped, skidded, and fell down like wet soap on a bathroom floor. The ship rocked sharply once more, and you braced yourself in the doorway. With the crowd of men, you spied Ramos and Leandros doing their part to help out. "Dangerous out here!" The voice came from behind you. His clothes were drenched, and his fur was spiked and disheveled. He looked a bit shoddy, and it was pretty comical to see him in such a way. You stepped out of his way, and he went out onto the deck. Any idea when this storm will end? You had to raise your voice. The rain, the wind, the waves, the thunder, and the men yelling were all competing for his attention. I don't know too much about weather at sea, so I can't say when it will subside. Personally, I prefer to avoid stepping onto a ship. Being surrounded by water puts you in an inconvenient situation. Being caught out here and waiting for the mercy of nature is one of them. Uh-oh. A guttural roar reverberated through the air. It was deep and coarse and almost sounded like a wounded beast, an enormous wounded beast. The ship shook as it slammed into a rock, and Koshiro held onto you before you slipped. A moment later, a shark-like beastman began to bark out orders, and the workers quickened their pace. What was that? Jake, get back inside. Some of the workers began to cry out. Others screamed and ran like maniacs, and the sharkman yelled even more. I can't hear him. What's he saying? Get inside. Why? What's wrong? Just get inside. The ship shook as though it had crashed into something large. Unable to keep balance, you tumbled out of the doorway and slid forward onto the wet deck. The entire crew grew silent as everyone recovered from the tremor. It took you a moment to gain your bearings. Once you did, you discovered why it became so quiet. A foul scent in the air mixed with the freshness of the rain. It was undeniably familiar. Everyone on the ship was turned in the same direction, looking off of the ship in awe. A few backed up slowly or stumbled over their own feet. The thin outline of a shadow rose out of the sea, higher and higher until it was taller than the main mast. It loomed over the ship, and a pair of sharp, sinister eyes pierced through the darkness. It had a long, slender body, and each flash of lightning revealed shimmering scales. He traced fins along its back up to its enormous head, where a pair of wing-like ears flapped. The beastman's eyes scanned the ship. The beast's eyes scanned the ship, searching for something until it rested on you. It opened its mouth, and you saw row after row of swords for fangs as it reeled its head back and dove down. The deckhands scattered away as the beast sunk its teeth into the ship, ripping into the railing and sending splinters flying. The crew members nearest to it either became trapped within the jaws of the beast, were thrown backwards, or flipped overboard into the sea. They fell flat on your deck. The force was too strong for Koshiro to keep hold of you, and he was sent to the other side of the ship. You looked back up. The monster's face was mere feet away until its eye still glued on you. It tried to open its mouth again to bite, but it appeared to be stuck. Get him! Now while he's down! The shark beastman cried as he charged forward with a cutlass waving in the air. Only a few sailors moved forth, most of them stunned by the size of the creature. Jake! Koshiro rushed up from behind you, dragging you back away from the snake-like beast, but it didn't take so kindly to that. Alright, y'all, I'm going to pause it right there, and we'll continue this fight in the next video. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!